Portugal has one of the most talented squads in the world. They have Bruno Fernandes, Bernardo Silva, Vitinha, Rafael Leão, Nuno Mendes, João Neves. On paper, this team should be fast, fluid, flexible. They should be able to press opponents, change shape during matches, and turn games around in a moment. But Portugal still has one huge question they cannot escape: Cristiano Ronaldo. And no, that does not mean Ronaldo is bad. If it were that simple, this video would be boring. Ronaldo can still score goals. He can still change a match inside the penalty area. He still pulls defenders toward him, and he is still making history. He is 41 years old, but somehow, he is still one of the main stories of the World Cup. And that is the strangest part. Ronaldo might be a problem for Portugal, not because he is finished, but because he is still too important. If a normal striker plays badly, you take him off. If he cannot press, you replace him. If he cannot keep up with the speed of the match, you try a different plan. But Ronaldo is not a normal striker. Taking him off is not just a tactical decision. It feels like touching the greatest football legend in Portugal's history. And that is exactly where Portugal's problem begins. Because the issue is not whether Ronaldo can score. The issue is what Portugal becomes when everything is built around helping Ronaldo score. Today's Portugal looks like a modern team. Technical midfielders, fast wingers, attacking fullbacks, mobile forwards, different tactical options, but the center of the attack still belongs to the past. When Ronaldo is on the pitch, the team naturally bends toward him. Crosses become more important. Getting the ball into the box becomes more important. The attack sometimes stops asking, what is the best solution? And starts asking, how do we find Ronaldo? That does not make Portugal a bad team, but it can make them more predictable. And the World Cup does not show much mercy to predictable teams, because modern football is not won by stars alone. A striker is no longer just the guy who scores goals. He starts the press. He disturbs the center-backs. He creates space in transition. He forces defenders to run backwards. He gives the first reaction when the team loses the ball. Ronaldo can still be a major threat in the penalty area, but he can no longer give Portugal the same pace, pressure, and movement for 90 minutes in every match. That is not an insult. That is age. That is time. That is football changing. Ronaldo did not suddenly become useless. Football simply became less forgiving. And at the World Cup, small weaknesses become much bigger. In one match, the opponent sits deep and Ronaldo is useful. In another match, the opponent presses high, suffocates the midfield, and demands pressure on the center-backs. And suddenly, the same Ronaldo can become the center that slows Portugal down. That is the real issue. Portugal can win matches with Ronaldo. Ronaldo can win a knockout tie with one header. He can change the story with one penalty. He can silence every critic with one run into the box. Denying that would be ridiculous. But the World Cup is not a one-moment tournament. The World Cup is a 7-match stress test. Every match asks a different question. Sometimes you need a finisher. Sometimes you need pressure. Sometimes you need speed. And sometimes you need the courage to bench the biggest name on the pitch. If Portugal truly wants to win the World Cup, they need that freedom. They do not need to erase Ronaldo. They do not need to ignore him. But they need to be able to treat him like a normal player. Because if a player plays in every situation, no matter what the match needs, then he is no longer a tactical choice. He is untouchable. And in tournament football, being untouchable can be very expensive. Portugal have alternatives on the bench, more mobile forwards, faster combinations, different ways to attack. But if Ronaldo is untouchable, those alternatives are only squad depth on paper. They are not real solutions. Because if a solution cannot be used, it is not really a solution. That is why Portugal's problem is not Ronaldo's presence. The problem is Ronaldo's weight. He is such a huge legend that sometimes Portugal do not look like they are playing football around him. They look like they are trying to protect his legacy. And the World Cup is not a tournament for protecting legacies. The World Cup is ruthless. If you make the right decisions too late, you go home. Sometimes your biggest player needs to be on the pitch, but sometimes you also need to be strong enough to take your biggest player off. Portugal can win matches with Ronaldo, but as long as Ronaldo remains untouchable, winning the World Cup becomes much harder, because Portugal's biggest opponent may not be France, Brazil, or Argentina. It may be the shadow of their own legend. Perhaps his biggest rival is Messi, who scored a hat-trick in his first game. It's even questionable whether he's still a rival. If you like this content, please subscribe The next one will be even better. Please do.